Welcome. This is one of 3 videos that explain why people choose team-focused questionnaires. This video focuses on the confusion between our roles and our personalities. In fact, when people complete self-report questionnaires, a question they often ask is, do you mean at work or at home? The traditional approach is to trivialise this question and to ask about some generalised typical average. At Team Focus, we recognise that they can be different, that people are adaptable, they do change what they do in different circumstances, and of course some circumstances are extremely coercive. Perhaps one of the most famous is the Milgram experiment. He showed how normal people can do terrible things like administering lethal electric shocks if they read the situation, which in this case was the authority of people in white coats. Unfortunately, the question of contextual behaviour has been pushed aside by mainstream psychometrics, whereas we believe it is an entirely legitimate thing to separate being from doing. In other words, what I do is not always who I am. My role is not my identity, at least not always. To illustrate this further, take Daniel Craig. I'm sure he knows when he is in role as James Bond and when he is the real Daniel Craig. For most of us in real life, the difference between roles and personality is maybe less clear-cut, but still critical. So why have mainstream personality questionnaires skipped over this important distinction? Why do they ignore a person's basic ability to read situations and to choose role-appropriate behaviour, rather than simply doing what they want? The idea of the average or typical answer is an inappropriate mix that combines too many different elements. There is a need to separate role from personality. Team Focus has addressed this with the type mapping system, which brings clarity to this mixed up area. It allows people to express what they do in different circumstances. In fact, the MTRI is the only true role questionnaire currently available. Even Belbin's supposed team role questionnaire focuses on generalised rather than contextual behaviour, and so is better understood as some kind of generalised team personality, even if such a thing exists. Hence, the MTRI invites people to describe their contribution to specific situations or teams. The TDI then strips out situational behaviour by inviting answers reflecting an underlying preference. In other words, what people would choose to do if circumstances did not constrain them. This approach gets at a more fundamental sense of a person's identity, but also examines people's adaptability, making for a much more dynamic and realistic exploration of being and doing. If you want to explore this difference between being and doing further, then get in touch. You can also see other ways that Team Focus questionnaires are different and bring added value by viewing more of these videos here on the screen. Thank you for listening.